You've been lied to every single time you walk down the pasta aisle. That box with the golden wheat field on the front, the one that says 100% wheat, yeah, that's not what most people think it means. We're about to show you how one of the most trusted foods in your pantry has been misleading millions of families for decades, and why the companies making it are counting on you never reading past those two words on the label. Let us paint you a picture. You're standing in the grocery store trying to make healthier choices for your family. You pick up a box of pasta. Front of the package, beautiful. Golden wheat stalks swaying in the breeze. Bold letters screaming 100% wheat. Maybe it even says durum wheat or enriched. Sounds healthy, right? Sounds like you're making the responsible choice. Here's what just happened. You got played. That pasta you're holding, it's about as whole as a demolished building. But here's the genius part. They didn't technically lie to you. They just let you assume. And that assumption is worth billions. See, when most people see 100% wheat, their brain fills in the blanks. They think whole wheat. They think fiber and nutrients are the good stuff their doctor keeps telling them to eat more of. But here's the truth that the pasta industry is banking on you never discovering. Wheat and whole wheat are not the same thing. Not even close. Think about it like this. If we told you we were giving you 100% apple, you'd expect a whole apple, right? The skin, the flesh, the nutrients. But what if we just gave you apple juice with all the fiber stripped out, most of the vitamins gone, and called it 100% apple? You'd feel ripped off. That's essentially what's happening with your pasta. But wait, it gets worse. After they remove much of the good stuff during processing, they enrich it. Translation? They add back a small fraction of what was removed, usually a few synthetic B vitamins and iron, and present it as a benefit. It's like someone stealing your car, returning just the steering wheel, and expecting you to say thank you. Now, let's talk about the word that shows up on nearly every pasta box in America. Semolina. Sounds exotic, doesn't it? Sounds Italian, sounds authentic. It even sounds healthier than plain old flour. That's the point. Semolina isn't a different grain. It's a term for how durum wheat is milled. Coarsely ground instead of finely ground. That's it. But here's what they don't tell you. Semolina can be whole grain or refined. And in most cases on supermarket shelves, it's refined. When you see durum wheat semolina or semolina flour on the ingredients list, what you're usually looking at is refined flour. The wheat has been milled to remove the outer bran and the inner germ, leaving primarily the starchy endosperm we talked about earlier. But because it sounds more traditional and upscale than white flour, most people never question it. Let us give you the numbers. A serving of whole grain pasta typically contains about 4 to 6 grams of fiber. Regular semolina pasta, around 2 grams. That's a significant difference. Fiber helps regulate blood sugar, keeps you full longer, and supports digestive health. When you're eating refined semolina pasta, you're missing out on more than half the fiber you could be getting. And here's something that really should make you angry. According to organizations like the Whole Grains Council, the U.S. government has relatively limited, strict regulations around whole grain front-of-package labeling. The FDA's primary enforcement tool is a prohibition on false or misleading labeling, a standard so broad and loosely defined that it allows a lot of marketing gray area. This means companies can put "made with whole grains" on a package even when whole grains make up a small percentage of the product. They can use images of wheat fields and rustic farms while selling, something that's been heavily processed. And under current rules, much of this is perfectly legal. There's one word that makes all the difference, and most people never notice whether it's there or not. That word is whole, not wheat, not grain, not durum. The word whole. If the label doesn't say 100% whole grain or 100% whole wheat, you're not getting the real deal. Period. End of story. And even then, you still need to double check the ingredients list because front of package claims can be misleading. Let's break down what you need to look for. First, flip that box over and find the ingredients list. The very first ingredient should say whole durum wheat flour or whole wheat flour. Not durum wheat, not enriched wheat flour, not semolina. The word whole needs to be right there at the beginning. Here's a study that really puts this into perspective. Researchers showed people pairs of bread, cereal, and cracker products. One product contained a higher proportion of whole grains but made no claims on the front of the package. The other had significantly less whole grain but featured prominent front label terms like multigrain and wheat. Between 29 and 47% of participants identified the less nutritious option as the healthier choice. Think about that. Nearly half the people were misled by marketing language. The companies know this. They've spent millions of dollars testing exactly which words and images make you reach for their product. Multigrain sounds healthy, but it simply means more than one type of grain, and all of them can be refined. Made with whole grains can mean a small amount of whole grain flour mixed into mostly refined flour. Stone ground sounds traditional and wholesome, but it tells you nothing about whether the grain itself is whole or refined. Before we go any further, do me a favor. If this is already making you rethink your grocery shopping, hit that like button and drop a comment telling me what pasta brand you've been buying. Let's see how many of us have been getting fooled. Now, let's talk about why this matters more than you think. So, what's the big deal? Why does it matter if you're eating refined pasta instead of whole grain? Let us show you what you're losing every single time you choose refined over whole. When wheat is processed into white flour or refined semolina, you lose up to about 75% of phytochemicals, natural plant compounds that researchers associate with disease protection. You lose most of the antioxidants. You lose large amounts of vitamins and minerals. Compared to whole wheat flour, refined flour contains roughly 96% less vitamin E, 82% less vitamin B6, 80% less selenium, 78% less magnesium, and about 37% less folate. These aren't minor differences. These are nutrients your body relies on, and many of them are removed during the milling process. But here's where it gets personal. Think about how you feel after eating a big bowl of regular pasta. You probably feel full for a short time, then you crash. You get hungry again. Your energy drops. That's because refined grains digest quickly, spike your blood sugar, deliver a brief burst of energy, and then leave you depleted. Whole grains work differently. Because they still contain the fiber and nutrient-rich components of the grain, they digest more slowly. Your blood sugar stays more stable. You feel full longer. You get steadier, sustained energy instead of that roller coaster ride. And this isn't just about day-to-day energy. Study after study has shown that people who eat more whole grains are associated with lower risks of heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes, and certain types of cancer. We're talking about serious, life-changing health outcomes influenced by something as simple as which pasta you grab off the shelf. Remember when we mentioned that refined pasta is enriched? Let's talk about what a misleading concept that really is. After companies strip away the bran and germ during processing, they add back a small set of synthetic nutrients and call the product enriched. Usually it's a few B vitamins and iron. Then they put that word on the package like they've pulled off some kind of nutritional miracle. But here's what they don't mention. They removed dozens of naturally occurring nutrients and added back only a handful. They took out fiber, vitamin E, magnesium, selenium, zinc, copper, chromium, and countless phytochemicals and antioxidants. In return, they added lab-manufactured thiamine, riboflavin, niacin, folic acid, and iron. It's like someone breaking into your house, stealing almost everything you own, then leaving you a $20 bill on the counter and expecting you to be grateful. That's enrichment. The word enriched on a food label is essentially a red flag that signals this used to be whole, but it was heavily processed. Yet, through decades of marketing and clever packaging, most people have been conditioned to think enriched means enhanced, improved, better. It doesn't. It means something that was nutritionally complete in its natural state was stripped down and then partially rebuilt. If you're finding this helpful and you're already planning to check your pantry when this video ends, subscribe to the channel. We're pulling back the curtain on everything the food industry doesn't want you to know. And trust me, pasta is just the beginning. Let's keep going. Okay, so you're standing in the pasta aisle right now, completely paranoid, not knowing what to buy. We get it. Let us give you the actual playbook for finding pasta that hasn't been nutritionally gutted. First rule, ignore the front of the package. We don't care how pretty the wheat field is. We don't care if it says artisan or traditional or made with love by Italian grandmothers. The front of the package is advertising, and advertising is designed to persuade, not inform. Second rule, read the ingredients list. The very first ingredient should say whole something. Whole wheat flour, whole durum wheat flour, whole grain wheat flour. If the word whole isn't there, put it back on the shelf. Third rule, check the fiber content on the nutrition facts panel. You generally want at least 3 grams of fiber per 2-ounce, 56-gram serving. If it has less than that, it's likely mostly refined flour, even if the packaging tries to convince you otherwise. Fourth rule, look for the whole grain stamp. The Whole Grains Council created this stamp to help reduce consumer confusion. The gold stamp that says 100% means all the grain in the product is whole grain. That's your safest bet. The basic stamp means the product contains at least half a serving of whole grain, but it may also contain refined grains. Fifth rule, beware of blends. Some companies mix whole grain flour with refined flour to strike a middle ground. Better texture than 100% whole grain, but still more nutritious than fully refined pasta. These can be reasonable if you're transitioning to whole grains, but understand you're not getting the full nutritional benefit. And here's something nobody tells you. Price is not a reliable indicator of quality. We've seen expensive artisan pasta made entirely with refined semolina and affordable store brands that are truly 100% whole grain. Don't let the price tag fool you. So why do companies go through all this trouble to confuse you? Why not just make everything with whole grains and be done with it? Money. It always comes back to money. Refined flour has a much longer shelf life than whole grain flour. The germ contains healthy fats, and fats can go rancid over time. Remove the germ, and suddenly the product can sit on a shelf for months or even years without spoiling. That means less waste, lower storage costs, and higher profits. Refined flour also delivers a more consistent product. Whole grain flour can vary based on harvest conditions, weather, and soil quality. Refined flour behaves the same way batch after batch, which makes large-scale manufacturing easier, more predictable, and cheaper. And then there's texture. Most people grew up eating refined pasta, so that's what tastes normal to them. Whole grain pasta has a nuttier flavor and a firmer, slightly different texture. Companies know that if they suddenly switched everything to whole grain, some customers would complain or switch brands entirely. So instead of educating consumers about why whole grains are better, many companies continue selling refined products while using clever marketing to make people think they're choosing something healthy. It's easier, it's more profitable, and as long as people keep buying it, there's little incentive for them to change. Let us bring this home with some real talk about what this actually means for you and your family. The average American eats about 6.4 ounces of grains per day. Know how much of that is whole grain? Less than 1 ounce. We're eating roughly 6 times more refined grains than whole grains, and a significant portion of that comes from pasta and other refined grain products. This matters because whole grains are among the most extensively studied foods in nutrition science, and the results are consistently clear. Higher whole grain intake is associated with better health outcomes across the board. Lower rates of heart disease, lower rates of type 2 diabetes, better weight management, lower inflammation, better digestive health. You don't need to completely give up refined pasta, but if you're eating it multiple times a week thinking you're making a healthy choice because the box says 100% wheat, you need to wake up. You're not eating what you think you're eating. And here's the thing that really frustrates us. This isn't about exotic superfoods or expensive supplements. This is about pasta, one of the cheapest, most accessible foods in the grocery store. Switching from refined to whole grain pasta usually costs $1 or $2 more per box, at most. We're not talking about a massive lifestyle overhaul. If this video opened your eyes, share it, especially with anyone trying to make healthier choices for their family. Hit that like button to help other people discover what's really in their pasta box. And drop a comment telling me what shocked you most. The enrichment scam, the semolina smokescreen, or the fact that 100% wheat doesn't mean whole wheat? Subscribe to this channel for more truth about what's actually in your food, and watch the next video to uncover which other everyday foods in your pantry are quietly lying to you. Stay sharp, stay skeptical, and start reading those labels. Your body will thank you.